My name is Jeff Biggs. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm 60 years old. This is my faith story. My story is a little boring, but great. I was baptized into a Lutheran church as an infant, and my story actually goes back to my mother, who was confirmed into the Lutheran church in 1947, and she was the foundation of our getting into the Lutheran church. I was born into a Christian family. I have an older brother and two younger sisters. It was a loving home growing up. I've got a family picture of when we were still in St. Louis, Missouri, before we moved to Texas, and I don't have a lot of memories of that other than just good times. Don't have lots of religious memories. But when we moved to Texas, when I was 8 years old, we got closer together as a family. My mom always read us the little Golden Arch books and Jesus stories before bedtime when we said our prayers, and that was good times for us. When we moved to Texas in 1968, we joined Holy Cross Lutheran Church. It was a Missouri Synod church, fairly close to our home, and I've been a member there for over 50 years. And that church, and Pastor Sorensen, who was our pastor up until this past year when he died at 90 years old, was a huge influence in my life. We moved to Texas, and one of the things when we came at 8 years old, left my friends, so I thought it was devastating, but we got down here and my dad told us that if we would stick together, we couldn't be broken, we'd be stronger for it. And my brother was 11 and I was 8, and my dad he picked up a couple of twigs from the yard, and he said, if you by yourself, he said, you can be broken, but he said, if you stick together, and there was 4 of us kids, he said, with family, and then at church with Christians, he said, you can't break the group. So that's a lesson that stayed with me, and we truly grew closer as a family. From the time we moved to Texas, I was lucky enough to be able to work with my brother for 20 years. Then I went on to work with my dad for 20 years, and I'm now in the printing business. But again, back to Pastor Sorensen, who was a huge impact in our lives, and mine in particular. He was my instructor of confirmation. We had a class of about 20 kids, and we stayed real close. We had a good youth group. Beyond that, and confirmation was an important rite of passage. My mom bought us all a special ring for confirmation, starting with my brother, and then I was the second one. And it's a little mangled. It was with a cross with Jesus on it. Jesus has now been worn off the cross. But it was an easy way for me to witness and start conversation. And I've treasured that ring, and I hated when I got to where I couldn't wear it. High school was a great time for me in my life. I was active in a non-denominational group called Young Life. Young Life is still an ongoing concern now, but we had weekly Bible study and fellowship, sang a lot of songs, and we went on trips together. We went on ski trips, and I have lifelong friends from Young Life, from church and my high school to this day, and we still do lots of things together. And most importantly, it's where I met my wife in my senior year. We got married a couple years after that. She was raised Baptist but hadn't been baptized. She started coming to church with me, and Pastor Sorensen again had an adult confirmation class. I went through that with her, and she was actually baptized at Holy Cross 6 days before we were married in 1981. So Pastor Sorensen baptized her, and then he married us, and he's been around for all of my life's big events. And I've got a wedding picture of us back in 1981, and it was a fun memory, and it's a wonderful thing that we got to grow up together, basically, and get stronger in our faith. Her aunt and uncle gave us a family Bible for our wedding. It's a great big white leather-bound Bible with colored pictures, and it's been a fun treat for us to have and go to, along with a lot of our other Bibles. Pastor Sorensen has been a huge influence, as you have heard, and he'll continue to be, though he died this year at 90 years old. I have a picture of myself at confirmation age, and couldn't find my confirmation picture with Pastor Sorensen, but in this picture you'll see my long hair, and it's a picture probably only a mother could love, but it was a good time in my life. But he taught me confirmation, baptized my wife, helped with my daughter's wedding, and visited with my wife as a shut-in up until just last year. And she's been shut in for almost 10 years now. And he also did my mom's funeral 20 years ago when she was killed in a car accident. And that was some of the darkest times and roughest times for me. Probably one of the only times I was angry at God or upset, wasn't sure. I questioned a lot of things, but faith and family is what got me through those dark times. And one of my biggest concerns now is for the people that don't have faith, how they deal with such a loss without faith. And my prayers often include all those people now, because that's the only thing that helped me through such a trying time, and the loss of my mom was the family and faith. And I'm so thankful for my boring but great faith. What an awesome God that we have, that would give his only son to die for us, and that by believing in him through grace that we can have eternal life. That's a big deal. Like, again, the family Bible that we have, going back from faith early on, and then my formative years through confirmation, and 50 plus years at Holy Cross. I've served on lots of boards at Holy Cross. I've been on the board of trustees or facilities for 20 plus years. I've served as an elder. I've been in evangelism, on stewardship, and the church has always been a big part of our life, and we're so thankful that we are where we are, and we're free to worship as we please. And then, in fact, that I've had a boring but great faith story. I learned to pray and talk to God in good times and in bad. I say prayers of thanksgiving as well as prayers of selfish needs and wants. And it's interesting that some of life's greatest gifts are probably God's unanswered prayers and the things that I thought were most important, whether it be about work or relationships or perceived needs and wants. And once I learned to pray for God's will to be done and decided to let go and let God do it his way, my life's been much more enjoyable. And I've been blessed in many ways. I'm very fortunate. However your faith story plays out, whether dramatic or colorful, or if it's just boring like mine, that life here on earth is short, but eternity is a long time. And because we have an awesome God that gave his son for us, we can have eternal life together through his grace. And again, that's a big deal. Probably some of my greatest blessings were certainly my child. I've got a picture of her when I held her when she was brand new. And it's Ashley Ashcraft. She came up through the Lutheran school system, went to Holy Cross, moved on to what was Lutheran High School. Now it's called Dallas Lutheran. She went to Concordia, and then she became a teacher and got further education over in Hawaii at University of Hawaii, and had our first grandchild over there. Then they moved back, and we now have 4 grandchildren, and that's truly the greatest accomplishments of mine and my wife's life. It's so fun to have them here close and have the grandbabies We now have 4 grandbabies and a son-in-law, Carl, and God has truly blessed me and my family. God's blessings to you as you live out your faith story. Again, my name is Jeff Biggs, and this is my boring but great faith story. I know where I'm going to go, and I'm ready anytime. Thanks.